My first question is, who are you?
I'm Colette Balmain. I'm a senior lecturer at Kingston University in London. I research East Asian cinemas and cultures.
Can you tell us a little bit about London?
I've lived in a lot of capital cities in the world because we've moved. So I've lived in Singapore, Beirut, France, Germany, Amsterdam. London's very much like capital anywhere in the world in lots of ways. It's very diverse. In town, you will have like Chinatown, and now we have like Koreatown. So you have lots of different cultures coming together. And I think that's really what I like most about London, is that you have a real diversity. So we have the London Korean Film Festival, which is September, October. We have, I think, Hong Kong Film Festival, which has just been recently. It's a really nice place to live. It's full of lots of different things to do and lots of different people, lots of different cultures. So I think that I wouldn't choose to live anywhere else at this point in my life. I think I'm a Londoner for good.
What is the happiest memory of your life?
God, that's a difficult question. I think the happiest memory of my life was when my dad got his degree.
She happiest memory.
It's happy, but
Yeah, it comes with a lot of emotions. You know? Yeah, that's the nature.
He went back and did his degree in his 70s. So I think he was about 75 when he got his degree, and they graduated in Brighton Pavilion. It was like this really long graduation ceremony that took about 8 hours. And then we went out to celebrate afterwards. And I think that's of my family all together. So, and I think my father was very academic, but he never had choices. So he worked to provide for his family. And I think in a different lifetime, he probably would have been an academic. So I think that's how, those memories of families when part of your family's not here, the happy ones. I think it seems it's like those special moments that remain with you. So even though they're sad that the people involved are no longer here, I think it encapsulates a good part of my family and the support of my family. In my family supported me going into academia. So I think, I think it was very emotional, but it was really happy to see my father achieve what was not possible when he was younger.
Now I'm afraid to ask you the next question. Next question is, what is the saddest memory?
Well, because that involves my father. When I graduated with my PhD, we thought he would make the graduation. And he died about 2 months before. So I don't know what that says about a girl's relationship with her father. But I think, yes, because I was really close to my father. And it was just, I cried throughout my graduation. And it was in Greenwich University, and it was in like Painted Hall, which is beautiful. But I really didn't take much of it in. So yeah, that's my saddest memory.
What makes you angry?
Inequality. People being treated as lesser because of their skin colour, their gender, their sexuality, their class. So I noticed that there's also the problem with people sleeping on the streets in Seoul. So we have that a lot in the UK. We live in a very unforgiving society in the UK at the moment. I was brought up to treat everybody as my equal. And I just see too much discrimination. Somebody I knew who's non-binary got beaten up and hospitalised. And we've seen a lot of discrimination during the pandemic, you know, through my kind of Chinese students. I think inequality is not acceptable. I think, you know, violence against women and violence against children, violence against men is really unacceptable. So I think those are things that I feel really, really strongly about, that, you know, from kind of a place of privilege. I've experienced things as a woman growing up because it was very different when I started in work. But I had a family that believed in me, and I had a family that let me do what I want. And I know that's not the same for lots of people. So I think it really is, inequality really is something that makes me angry.
What makes you happy?
When nice things happen to people I know, even when I see like people on Twitter achieving either a doctorate or a job that's probably not been expected of them. So that makes me happy. Films, music and television makes me happy. But I suppose really it would have to be family. You're happiest when you're with your family. And I think, and I'm blessed to have had a good relationship. I'm not, you know, not everybody does. You find joy in lots of things, but I think the joy is more with people you love and you share that joy.
Do you remember one of your dreams when you were young?
I wanted to be a journalist or a writer. I'm a writer in terms of academia, so I'm not a journalist. But yes, I wanted to write. I always wanted to write from being really, really young. And I don't know why. I think it's because we read lots. We lived where there was no like English language TV, so we read lots of books. But yeah, I wanted to be a writer.
And at this particular point of your life, are there any specific dreams that you're doing?
For me, not necessarily. I would like to keep my job. That would be nice. I don't want to be on the scrap heap yet. I think a lot of my dreams are like for my students, that they go out into the world and they do well and they achieve. And for my nieces, that the world is kind to them and that they achieve their dreams. So it's not, I mean, it's not like you live your dreams through other people, like I think my parents did with us, but it's wanting to see other people succeed. I think that is what would make me happiest.
How did you learn about BTS at first? Like, do you remember the very first moment that you heard their name?
Yes, I'd been doing some K-pop with my students since Psy. And so a lot of places taught Psy on media courses, because there were a lot of kind of videos and fan materials associated with it. And I'd kind of like listen to Psy's concerts and everything. And so then I think I started listening to a bit of K-pop on YouTube. And then it was Blood, Sweat and Tears. So, which is really not surprising. And I think that just came onto my video playlist. And because I'm a Gothic scholar and it's really European Gothic, they managed to encapsulate the kind of Gothic tradition of good and evil, which I know is really not, so much Korean as such. And I knew the paintings and everything, but also I like the song and I like the dance. And I think that I'm not used to seeing groups that I'm just not. I grew up seeing bands, Bruce Springsteen. So, and I've never been into boy bands. So I never went, many years ago, it's like the Jackson 5 and the Partridge Family. But the other kind of groups never. So I just really like the song. I really like the visuals. The visuals are really cinematic. And because I'm primarily a film scholar, and also play with gender, and my work's really around gender. So I then used it in my teaching. And then when I saw, I think it's Mama 2016 with performances of Boy Meets Evil, Blood, Sweat and Tears, I don't think I'd really seen anything like it. And I think I knew when I saw that they were going to be big. I didn't know this big, but I knew they would be big.
Wanting to write something about their work is also different from being an army. So I'm wondering, you are not like identifying yourself as an army, but just...
Well, I wasn't to begin with. It was very distant to begin with. And I was much more critical at the beginning because as an academic, and you're meant to be really objective and really distant. So I think that I became an army later on. So I think the armification took a couple of years, to be perfectly honest. It started off, I gave a paper at the Gothic conference on Blood, Sweat and Tears. So that's the first paper I ever did on BTS. And then I think I just really like the music and I like the message. And I think, for me, music has always really been about the message. So it's always been important to me that music does more than sound good.
You are the first one to organize this BTS Global Interdisciplinary Conference at the Kingston College, and that inspired so many acapellas around the world.
I think, the conference was really a space to bring fans together to talk, because people shut fans down on Twitter, and I don't like it. I don't like it when it happens with horror communities. And I thought, actually, perhaps we ought to listen to what people are saying. So that was kind of the inspiration. And if you work in media, it's why is something popular? That's also something that you want to know. I never kind of knew that I would end up with all these friends. I never knew that I would end up with people that I would never have met normally, that I consider lifelong friends. I think that I have gained so much from Army in terms of my life and in terms of the quality of my life, especially during the pandemic. And I just met people from all over the world, like being able to come here, and Ji Young and Young and Kim. I mean, just really lovely people that we all feel the same way about things. So I think for me, it's changed my attitude towards fandom. It's changed my attitude towards languages, because I'm not very good, but I'm learning it. I think I understand things are important nowadays that perhaps I didn't when I began to do it. And my kind of work is about intercultural communication. Because when I started with BTS, it was all fans. Fans, took a long, long time of complaints to actually do subtitles. So I think the sense of community, I have that with Gothic scholars. We're a community, the Gothic scholars are a community. And sometimes we cross over. And the BTS Army is a community. So I think that it enriches your life. I wouldn't be here. I mean, I didn't envisage when I did the first conference that we would be here 3 years later. I mean, the idea of calling it the first conference was I hoped it would go on and it would become something. And I'm really glad that it's been in different places. And I think changing the location changes the availability of the conference to people. I've been to Seoul now twice. So I consider myself really lucky to be part of this.
What is your number one BTS song?
Oh, it's such a difficult question. I mean, there's so many songs. There's like 300 songs. What's your favourite song? And I'm sure that people kind of say so. I mean, I suppose I have lots of favourite songs, I have to be honest. I suppose I'd have to say Blood, Sweat and Tears because it was a song that brought me into army. So that's my answer.
Okay, so if you meet BTS in person, what do you want to say to them?
I think I would want to say that I think it's been really hard for them. I think none of this has been easy. And I think there's been multiple occasions with, the kind of awfulness of the press that they could have stopped. Had they stopped and not renewed the contract, I would have understood, because I think that to continue to do what they do is really difficult. It's not easy. So I think I would want to say thank you for keeping going, for showing people that you can survive unpleasant media attention and that you continue to put your message out. Oh God, sorry. It's really nice to have it recognised. And I think I really understood how difficult it is to not, as a white woman, I have advantages for being white. I suffer some disadvantages from my disability, but I think this is the first time I kind of seen how difficult things are if you're on the margins. And so I think having songs recognise you. And I think, and I would say ignore the press that say you're not doing enough in terms of speaking up for people on the margins. I think you're doing what you can do and you do it well. You're not politicians. It should be the politicians. But, and they give the message and then the fans organise themselves. So I think that's really important. And, giving up so much of their time and so much of their lives. I can't even imagine what it must be like. Western musicians would not do this. I think BTS in particular have made really big sacrifices. Thank you for deciding to continue rather than stopping.